Hello there, it's Gabby here for you from Confidence After Cancer, and I hope this finds you well. This week, I'm talking about a subject that comes up so often with people that I'm working with, and to be honest, it's something I've struggled with in the past as well. So I thought it'd be worth touching on what I've learned about it and what I'm observing in people around me as well. And that is, how can you stop being so hard on yourself? And for many people, it's become almost a habit of being, if you like, sometimes their own worst critic. And I've been speaking to a lovely coaching client this week who's had some major challenges that she's working through really well, doing really well after a cancer diagnosis, after a cancer recovery. She's doing amazing. She's doing so many good things in her life. I'm quite in awe of her, actually. I find her very inspirational. But she is so tough on herself. And it really made me stop and think about something I've struggled with in the past as well, being my own worst critic, and other people that I've met as well sometimes struggle with this. So I've got 4 tips for you this week of things that have worked for me, that have worked for my coaching clients, and I hope they're interesting for you as well. So, what can you do if you find yourself sometimes being your own worst enemy? If that little nagging voice inside your head is telling you, oh, you've messed up there again, you've done something wrong, what can you do? Because really, I say this so many times, the way that we're talking to ourselves is vitally important. If we want to be happy and healthy, we want to have happy thoughts. Okay. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is things that I've learned from various writers, but mostly from Louise Hay. And, I'm a big fan of Louise Hay and her teachings. But it really came home to me this week when a lady that I was coaching said to me, well, I should be doing better than this now, and I should be doing something else. And I was like, wait, that little word should is loaded with judgment. And when we say to ourselves, I should be doing this, or he should be doing that, there's so much judgment and weight attached to that word. And who said you should be doing better? The judgment, you've got to let it go, because, as I say, the world sometimes is full of critics. You don't need to be your own worst critic, okay? Louise Hay said, remember, you have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. So why don't you try approving of yourself and see what happens? And I love those words. And we know it's a natural thing not to want to be narcissistic. We don't want to become big-headed or too full of ourselves. But actually, some self-acceptance and some self-love sometimes goes a long way. If you're struggling with your thoughts and you are struggling with not being where you want to be, the first thing I would say is to stop all criticism of yourself, okay? Accept where you are, accept who you are, and learn to forgive yourself for mistakes that you may have made. We all make mistakes. Everybody does. It's part of the human condition. But if you learn from those mistakes and you're going forward and you are living your life in integrity, being the best person that you can be, as most people are, and living the values that are important to you. I always say the people that will love you even more if you're true to yourself. And the people that don't love you, well, maybe they're not your people. But you don't need other people's judgment in your life. If you are being true to yourself and you are living in accordance with your values and you are loving the people who love you, then you can't be all things to all men, can you? So let the criticism and the judgment go from other people. But most importantly, let that criticism and judgment go from yourself. Give yourself a break. And so my second tip is to learn to love yourself. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So if that seems a little bit too far, how about trying to just accept yourself and be happy with who you are? Realize that you're not perfect, but who is? You're doing your best. And you've got so many good things inside of you, so many talents. So why not focus on those? Okay. The other thing I'd say about loving yourself is don't think, and many people do, and I've done this in the past, well, I'll be good enough, or I can love myself when I've lost the weight that I need to lose, or I'll love myself when I get that job that I want. Or for many cancer survivors, it's, well, I will love myself and I'll be happy when I'm fully recovered and when I'm in full health. Why not learn to love yourself along that journey? Why not show yourself a little bit of compassion? I think we all need that sometimes. Okay. The third tip I've got for you to stop being so hard on yourself is to realize, Rome wasn't built in a day, is the saying, isn't it? Take small steps every day to get to where you want to be, whether that's working on your health or your fitness or whatever it is that you want to work on. Some people I know are working on their business and really frustrated and beating themselves up because they're not where they want to be in their business or where they want to be financially. But if you're doing something every day, a small step towards your goal, a baby step if you like, but a really, really important step towards your goal, celebrate that. Be proud of yourself. Celebrate those little wins. You know, acknowledge that you're doing the best that you can. And that's something to be proud of, my love. It really is. The fourth thing I would say to you is remember to have fun. You know, life can be heavy sometimes. A lot of the people I'm speaking to are dealing with some really heavy stuff, you know, whether it's health problems, financial problems, whatever it is, the issues that you've got, issues in families I'm seeing all around me as well. With a lot of the people that I'm speaking to, some really, really heavy stuff. But life isn't meant to be hard. Life is meant to be enjoyable. So my fourth tip is to remember to have some fun. And sometimes we have to make a conscious effort to do that. We might have to plan it in. I've just started going to yoga sessions near me. And that's something now that I put in my diary. And it's non-negotiable. I'm not doing yoga if I've got time. I'm not going to the gym if I've got time. Those are the things that go into my diary first of all, because there's something that I know will make me feel better, something that I enjoy doing, and something that's really, really important. So just in the way that you would put an important appointment in your diary or in your schedule, planning sometimes for things that make you feel good, planning sometimes for things that are fun. Remember what you used to like to do when you were a child, whether it was playing games, whether it was singing or dancing or reading books, watching films, whatever it is that makes you feel enjoyable, that brings pleasure and love and light into your life. Remember, we all need some of that. So, you know, what can you do to bring some enjoyment? What can you do to make you smile and laugh more? Just ponder on that for a minute and think, is that something that's missing in your life? And is it something you could do something about quite easily sometimes? But we get caught up, don't we, in day-to-day life. Okay, and Louise Hay, I'm just going to leave you with the last thought from Louise Hay. I get so much wisdom from her, so many wise words and so many wise sayings that she had and so many great quotes. And what this one is, every thought we think is creating our future. So just sit with that for a minute. And again, when we are criticizing ourselves, we're giving ourselves really negative and unhelpful thoughts. So why not switch that around and think about every thought we think is creating our future? And what future do you want? Do you want a happy, positive, healthy future? Well, in that case, you're going to have to start training yourself to think happy, positive, healthy thoughts. So as always, my darling, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me. Please get in touch if I can help you in any way. And please get in touch and let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear from you. So as always, stay safe and stay sane. Have a fabulous week and I'll speak to you very soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.